Upper Peach Street to see the flow of the traffic. The county spent a ton of money. You hear that?
I have no idea.
Bring that up to say.
From Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9, from the City Hall Council Chambers, it's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Kaz is on the road. He's taking the Taxpayer Hotline Show to Chicago this week. My name is John Steiner. I'll be filling in for Kaz. Just a reminder, just keep everything above the belt and, all the good things that he says. You can call in with any problems or issues that you have. We will take notes and make sure Kaz gets the proper notes and takes care of the things. We'll probably be talking about a bunch of different issues today, but we're going to need you guys to call in to keep the show rolling. I'll let these guys introduce themselves. Again, my name is John Steiner, and I have with me today
Carl Anderson, lifelong resident of Erie, and happy to be here to talk about some important issues with the city today.
Ron Stemka. I've been here all my life, so we're trying to get things straightened out here in Erie.
Well, a lot of things need to be straightened out. It was quite an eventful weekend. I was watching some of the news and some of the things going on in Erie this weekend, and unfortunately, none of it was very good. Where the gentleman was shot again. We have babies at Hammett that are addicted to drugs when they're born, and we have guys that should be in jail going through trials, and eyewitnesses showing up, and for some reason they're finding them not guilty now. Those are just some of the issues that I saw on the news this weekend, and it's unfortunate to what's going on in our city.
We have a caller already?
Already.
Keeping us moving.
Taxpayer Hotline, you're on the air.
I just wondered, do you know anything about that thing they're doing at the airport, that trade-free thing? Is they going to bring more planes with that new runway, or they announced that last week, they took over that Penn Brass plant or something?
That I don't know anything about. I haven't heard anything. I was on the road this past week doing some work. Ron, you know anything about it?
Yeah, they took over that plant over there, and they're going to bring a tax-free zone. That they come in here and they put their stuff right in there. They can fly out of Erie and into Erie, but it's going to be a tax-free zone.
Well, everything, any business that comes here is going to be tax-free. But they were talking about, that was one of the main reasons why they extended the runway.
Right, that was one of the biggest, well, there's other things, but
right.
I don't want to say it on there.
Yeah, they can't bring the bigger planes in to bring in cargo and things of that size without the extension of the runway. So
right.
Hopefully this is the beginning of the first steps to see that plan come to fruition.
Well, wasn't that part of John Elliott and that group? Wasn't their group working on the transportation hub throughout the county, and was that part of the gig, or who's overseeing that, I wonder?
It was logistics or something like that.
Oh, logistics. Okay, well then that's good. Then they've already got the experience and they got the people on the ground, and they're.
Yeah, they had an article, they had it on television, then they had a little article in a paper, but they didn't really say what it's going to do.
Right.
Well, they've been a tremendous asset to Erie, so yeah. I think we can be confident that Jim Berlin and his group will continue to do the professional things that they've done since they came to Erie.
One good thing about logistics is that they're locally owned.
Yeah.
So that, and if they're renting out those, they have to be talking big cargo over there, which will only create jobs and economic benefits for the city. And I guess, the tax breaks, I guess that's a whole, every business wants corporate welfare these days. So we got to, kick in on every little thing that they do. But if it creates jobs and starts moving the city and county forward, I'm all for it. What do you think about it?
Okay, then, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think that that's the type of thing that we need to start doing. Now that's a good economic development project where we're using tax money, but, we're creating jobs. We
have to leverage that tax money, and if we can use those statewide tax-free zones, and I know that the corporations get some benefits for that for a short term, usually a 10-year period, but the potential jobs and economic growth that they can bring to the community, particularly if it's with a company like Logistics Plus that has a track record of success and some real professionals at their helm.
Right. They're definitely an asset to the community, and the fact that they're expanding says a lot of good things about what they're doing there, and the more jobs they bring in, the better. One thing that we haven't heard a lot about was since the CRIS designation, as far as we are concerned, no longer exists. You haven't heard very much about Nick Scott and his group dying to build up that part of the Dobbins Landing area. So there it sits.
He's waiting for the time for it to come down.
Well, if he's waiting for CRIS, he's going to be waiting for a long time.
Hey, you never know.
So
we might get some good state senators in there and push for it. We need some good state senators, right?
Well, see, the problem is that there's they can't even pass a state budget, let alone. They got too many.
They got to borrow money to pay the state senators. They got to borrow $10 million to pay their salaries.
Well, they passed that. They're going to get paid.
Boom.
The senators and their.
Well, they have to get some work done down there. Come on.
Well, Jay Badams went down there. Did you know about this? Jay went down there and tried to talk to the governor, release some emergency funds. And pretty much it was, I guess, a waste of gas, apparently, because they're not releasing any funds to the schools. And the Democrats and the Republicans just cannot get along down there, and the Republicans hate Governor Wolf, and they'll do anything they can to stonewall anything. And it's just not good that teachers and, more importantly, students have to suffer the consequences of their inability to get along. And it's a national thing. It's not just a local problem. It's a national problem.
It's turned into a very unfortunate situation where it's no longer about somebody's ideological view of one thing or another. It's turned into just a complete destruction of one party or the other. And the gridlock that these politicians are undertaking is not what we elect them for, and it's not positive things that are happening for the communities at large.
Well, we've talked about it. Carl, you and I have talked about it, and Ron, you can address it too. It seems that as it is, not enough moderate people come out to vote. If you're either left-wing or you're right-wing, those are the people that are dictating what votes and what action that the political parties are taking, because not of us people that are in the middle or the moderates are coming to the polls. So they have to cater to those that vote. And unfortunately, the Republican Party, they are a disaster.
Around the county is Republican, the city is Democrat.
Yeah.
So if you run on a Democrat ticket in Erie like Del Kemper did, she was a Republican almost all her life. She jumped in to be a Democrat. What did she do? She won a race.
Right. Well,
one time, Kathy, I say.
Yeah. Well, Mill Creek was mostly Republican at one time,
right.
Correct, Carl?
Yeah, now it's pretty much 50-50.
Now Mill Creek is now 50-50, and in order for a Republican to win, they have to carry the city big, as we all know. They have to carry the city big and then hope that the Mill Creek voters come out to vote Democrat, and the Republicans, what is the voter... how many more Democrats are there than Republicans in the county?
Well, countywide, I think it's pretty split. It's maybe a couple thousand more Democrats than Republicans, but it's about I think it's about 65,000 to 63,000, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Well, we've got some big elections coming this week or next week, right? Is it
next Tuesday?
Yeah, next Tuesday.
A week away. Just
next Tuesday. The city council is pretty much, that's a lock. That's a wrap.
How about the county?
County, I don't even know who's...
Well, for the city, there's only, there's countywide races. The county judge races are the only uncontested races that are...
Right.
Who's the uncontested in the county? The one from Harbor Creek?
Kyle Faust. I've seen. I don't know if who's running against Kyle. I don't know if he has an opponent or not.
There's a guy should be thrown off the county council.
Why do you think that, Ron?
Because he pushes everything that the taxpayer, like, just at the convention center. Then I was down there when he voted for the communication system. Just push it through. And he's up there basically hitting the table and say, hey, let's put this thing through, and everybody jumped to the leader, you know what I mean?
Was he council president at the time, or was he?
No. The old man's been in there.
Oh, Fiore?
Fiore's been in there. He's still in there.
Yeah, Fiore, that's...
Fiore, I think, is the last original member of county council since the change of government in 1979.
Well, he's been there a long time.
Yeah, he's been there a long time. A
He's-
lot of experience.
He found the loophole where he got his pension, too.
Did he?
He went down state. They were paying their county people money, and he checked into it, and they're getting a nice pension out of that. He's going to be loaded, He's 80-some years old. He's a nice guy. I really like him, but it's about time to move on. Bring some younger blood into the...
Well, I think somebody ran against him last time.
Oh, yeah.
It's difficult for us to lose that experience that's in there. There's a lot of new council members that have come in, and Fiore's certainly a legend. Anybody in the county will tell you he's a legend down there.
Yeah. Well, he's in West Erie and part of Mill Creek, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So, they continue to vote for him. They must, and you can't really go on the Italian name. And, there's some people that unfortunately don't educate themselves and just vote if they have a vowel on the end of their name. I don't think, in that area, those type of pockets in the city are deteriorating. You don't have...
Not as strong as they used to be.
No, the Italian, like Little Italy isn't really Little Italy anymore. It's Little Havana-ish,
Yes,
kind of.
it is.
So it's like...
Speaking of Italian descent, your grandmother was Italian.
Yeah, my great
Best sauce in town. Some of the best sauce in town.
That's right. My grandmother Perino was her last name, and my great grandfather was his name was Giuseppe Perino.
One of the founders of the
one of the founders of the Sons of Italy here in the city.
Organization that does quite a bit in the community.
Yeah, I read it in a book. I didn't know about it. My uncle told me about it, and I guess they wrote a book about these guys. So that's a good thing. But they're doing a lot of, speaking of the Little Italy neighborhood, they're doing a lot of good things over there.
So you're a part of the vowel group.
No, I'm Steiner. I'm part of the syllable group now. So I guess you could say part of me is part of the vowel, but I'm like a mutt. I guess you could say
You're like the alphabet.
I am. I'm all over the place.
You're constables and vowels.
That's true. But I think the Little Italy folks, they're doing a really good job over there. With they have their neighborhood watch organization
They
together.
got a good thing going there.
Yeah, I know Sister Hilbert and Wally Brown.
Sister Hildegard.
Yeah.
Or you got Alliance Cornelia.
Yeah. Hey.
He just passed away last spring.
Oh, really? I didn't know
about
that.
85, 89.
Oh, really?
Yeah, communion. I went to communion, and I said, I ain't sticking around here. I was about 9 or 10, and I left. She went to my house. Virginia's run home. Yeah, he's underneath the bed. She took that bed apart and everything, grabbed me by the neck, and drove me back to St. Paul. I did make communion. But D-Dad, remember the D-Dad number place on 18th Street?
Oh, yeah.
They say, hey, Whitey's getting beat up by the night. They're laughing, and I'm just struggling along.
Well, see,
The nuns, they used to be able to bring down the hammer, weren't they?
Ooh.
I
I think LaQuartick told me one time he was at St. Andrews, and he was doing something wrong. Sister Hildegard grabbed her by the shirt and had him hanging second story up. It's hanging over the railing.
Yeah.
He got his attention real quick.
see, that's what we need back in schools
we need
today.
it now, right?
Today,
why he's a successful member of the community today.
today you're not allowed to put your hands on anybody. But when I was a St. Pat's kid myself, and they wouldn't hesitate to pull you in the office and give you the paddle. You didn't want that.
That was bad.
Last thing you want to do is get sent down to the principal's office, and nowadays you can't touch them, you can't...
That's why this world's screwed up. The young kids are getting out of line. They have no work ethics or anything like that, and that's why everything's so screwed up now.
It's a cycle of poverty. With Erie being the third poorest city in the state.
It's getting worse.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, we're the poorest city in the state.
Well, look how many foreigners coming in.
Well, that's funny you say that because that's all you see nowadays are, you can obviously tell they're foreigners by their head, by the garments and everything like that, and they're all infiltrating the city. They're all living into the city, and unfortunately, those folks don't. They don't have money. So it's like they don't.
The government gives them money.
Not enough, not a lot though. But you can't. I'm talking about sustaining our community. A downtown community. They don't, that's why grocery stores and different things like Sanders, I think it is, on 6th Street, that's closing up. I mean, the only thing that makes it anymore is a Walmart.
Get a Mart.
And Dollar General. There's a Dollar General going up on every corner.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
The more it looks like, they're all over the place.
That's the only thing coming in Erie. Stop and think about how many things are coming in the area. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I mean,
we should talk about some of the exciting things happening, and particularly in downtown. Erie Insurance made a conscious decision to expand in downtown. They're doing a tremendous job.
Yeah.
I drove over 6th Street today from the old family homestead, and just amazed at the amount of renovation and work that's being done by Erie Insurance over there.
They've done that armory.
Hats off to them.
Yeah, I mean, the armory looks like, have you been by there, Ron? Mm-hmm. The armory looks fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I think, they've definitely, and
first rate. Jeff Kidder, architect over there, and the architect of a number of those projects over there, has done a tremendous job on behalf of Erie Insurance.
And they restored those houses over there, and they're working on, was it one or two more, too, aren't they?
Yeah, the Bailey Law Office is the newest one that they're working on.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing about Erie Insurance. I mean, without them down here, they are wonderful down here, between creating jobs and refurbishing and revitalizing the neighborhoods. God forbid if they ever left. I mean, I'm glad to see that they're investing so much in this.
That's about the only thing Erie has going for them, really.
Yeah, I know. I mean, GE, with the way they're pulling out, slowly but surely.
It's really sad to see Terry Cavanaugh retiring from that CEO of Erie Insurance.
We did. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
he's done a tremendous job there. He's certainly been an asset to our community, and certainly wish him well in his next endeavors.
Yeah, Terry, he's a nice guy. He's always been
super guy.
Even though he's a CEO, he's approachable by everybody. And he's a genuine person, and you can tell that by just talking to him. That he's going to be a loss for them, but they've done a really good job since he's taken over that spot.
Yeah.
Okay, how about the Transit Authority? I see the county's trying to take it over real fast.
Well, see, that's the way the county works. They, if they're going to give you money, if they're going to donate any money, they want to have a say in what's going on. And you can say anything you want about bus routes and anything. The county, it's all about money, I'm sure.
Right, but they want it bad, and the city council said no way. It's our business. We have the majority of riders right here.
Right.
Why should you take over and start in another authority? Them authorities are the worst things the city could have done, like the water authority. I hate to be picking them up, but he's getting $180,000 a year to run the water authority.
Yeah.
He thinks he needs more money because all the water works from Mill Creek came into the city. Now he's got more people to take care of, so he thinks he should have a raise. $180,000 ain't nothing to sneeze at.
$180,000 is ridiculous money. I mean, in my opinion, the authorities they have pros and cons. I mean, sure they can borrow money, but we as taxpayers we're going to end up paying it back at some point anyway. And I think they were created to keep these people right here sitting on their positions, and I'll explain why. Wow. No, that was the right one. They hung up. Call back. Authorities are created so that elected officials don't have to raise rates like the water. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys know. You guys been around. The water system was like falling apart, so they needed major upgrades and major improvements to the water system.
That's when Slovakia was in there.
Right. So when instead of a city council and the mayor voting to raise all the rates astronomical amounts, and people would lose their minds, and then they would lose their seats because of such a tax increase or a rate increase. So they bring these authorities in to shoulder the brunt of the community, but we got to pay for it anyway at some point.
But that was
In other words, what you're saying, John, is that the politicians don't have to make tough decisions
Absolutely.
that they're elected to make.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why when you look at a study, we do more studies. The city, the county, I think we're doing another study. We just did the Perry 200 study. Downtown's got a study. The city's got they study more than my son at Collegiate Academy. And we can sit here, the three of us could probably sit here and come up with our own ideas on...
be better than what they did.
But we're going to bring somebody in from out of town and pay them all kinds of money to come and tell us what to do here.
The biggest example is that one East Avenue Bridge. What, $700,000 for a study?
It just goes to show.
Well, that gives the politicians the ammunition to make the decision for them.
Right.
Then they don't have to take responsibility
Right.
for it.
According to the latest study, it shows that... I mean, they did the downtown improvement study back when you were involved with that many years ago.
I think they've done 4 or 5 studies since then.
And that's in, what, 10 years? I mean, we know what we did. We needed a drugstore. We needed a supermarket, fresh produce. What else was on that record? Do you remember?
Well, they had the updates to the convention center, to Tulio Arena.
Well, that was good.
And, of course, a lot of that has been spearheaded by Erie Insurance. Once again,
right.
Thank goodness for Erie Insurance.
Henceforth, the Erie Insurance Arena name.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We have to give credit to Tom Hagen, who's certainly made a commitment to keeping Erie Insurance downtown as the chairman of the board, and it's certainly somebody who's interested in the best of the community and restoration and understands restoration of buildings. And
well, he was one of the main contributors and one of the people that helped out with the Historical Society as well.
Correct, yeah, with tremendous changes there.
Yeah. I mean, it's guys like Tom, that, like we were just saying, if Erie Insurance wasn't here, what would we do?
There'd be nothing downtown.
There's not, with the way that the manufacturing jobs are leaving, these $7 an hour, $8 an hour Family Dollar jobs aren't going to cut it.
Not Erie.
And then we have the nonprofits. I've worked in the nonprofit world most of my life, but everybody in the county wants all the services, but they want them in the city.
They want to make sure the nonprofit is in the city.
Right. But they don't want to, pitch in and help out and pay.
I think we're up close to nearing 60% of the taxable property in the city is nonprofit.
Yeah, something's got to be done about that. The nonprofits, they make profit. I've worked in the nonprofit world. Don't tell me they don't make profit. Do they give most of it back? Yeah. Do they hire a lot of people? Yes. Do they service people that need services? Yes. But when you're doing it in the downtown district, the waterfront is supposed to be, and your downtowns are supposed to be your most taxable properties. Any city we travel to, that's the way it is. You have your mixed use. You have your restaurants and stores and different things on the first floor, and then you have residential, or you have offices, then residential on the upper floors.
Why didn't they put that parking ramp down there at the Bayfront? Why didn't they put in that big parking lot they had there by the convention center? You had the land there, and how many stories? At 4 or 5 stories high. It can go up. You still got the first floor. Am I right?
Well, the park, yeah. I drove by there the other day, and I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they would do that.
In the city, that's belonged to the city. That was their land. The county just took it over.
Right. Taxpayer Hotline, you're on the air.
Yeah, let me turn my TV down here a second.
Okay.
Yeah, turn my TV off. Question, that area that used to be under the Clock Restaurant and Foster's store,
Yeah.
Hello?
Go ahead, we're here.
Okay. But could the city do anything to try to get maybe, say, like a market in that place? You know, that would be kind of an ideal location for downtown people living in the different apartment buildings there and working downtown for like a small type store and convenience store, you might say. I know you got one on the corner of 8th and Peach there, but maybe you can even get that person maybe to move his store into there and make it a corporate type store and even bring in maybe one of the meat markets in there to bring fresh deli meat and stuff. So anyone downtown there, they don't have to try to hop a bus or try to travel around it. And then that open area outside there could be an outside farmer's market or for some outside displays if they want to make something outside-wise, plants and stuff, stuff like that. That would be an ideal thing to do with that area. But we would have to probably work with the bosses or corporation there to how they can go about doing it, but get it so that they can afford it,
Right. Well, that's a good idea. And outside there, right on the corner, they have that open lot there, too.
Yeah.
And that would be a good place to do that. But I don't know. I know they do the farmers market right outside, right at Perry Square here during the day.
Right.
So I don't know what kind of agreement they have with the city as far as, a store opening right there. Do they still do them up at Griswold Plaza? Do you guys know?
I don't know.
Yeah, they used to do it at Griswold Plaza, and they have them up on Pine Avenue, too, on 38th Street.
But any time that they're going to look at putting a supermarket in, it's going to be based on the density of the population that's within a couple-mile radius. And the problem is that, which I think the caller has an excellent idea for the supermarket.
But you want to keep the people downtown that are downtown there, and that would make it convenient for the workers as well as those who are renting in the apartment buildings there. Many of them disabled, so it would be hard for them to get from those high rises like Tulio Towers or Mid-City Towers over there to do a little shopping and go back to their apartment. So that would make it ideal if you can get into that for them.
Right.
And then, several other features can be brought into that. But that's one idea I was thinking that would help sustain it downtown a bit. But I don't know what they're asking for rent, from that area. And maybe it can be shared, or maybe they'll lower the cost of the rent if the city says, well, we want you to do this to help us sustain the downtown, business-wise.
that might be something good for the downtown partnership to look into.
Right.
I just put a call in to the engineer. I saw Kaz a while back. I don't know if any of you guys were involved in the conversation or not, but I have a blacktop driveway, and what I do is every 2 years I put a sealer on top of that blacktop to keep it from breaking and popping up holes and stuff. And I remember when I worked for the city under the Trujillo, we used to do that too. We used to put sealers on various streets, and I know our parking lots, we always put sealers down every so often to keep them from blowing open on holes. And I'm thinking maybe the city needs to start configuring a little bit of extra costs in their paving to say maybe at the end of the paving season they go around and put a sealer down for winter, because that prevents water from penetrating that asphalt and lifting it up and blowing holes in it.
Right.
Tell us a good story of when you worked with for Mayor Tullio.
What is a good story?
Yeah, everybody's got a good story that worked for Mayor Tullio.
One story that I can probably safely share is when I first came to Erie. I first came to Erie to work, go to Gannon, and Mr. Cleaver, the parking authority, offered me a job, and I did not know Tullio at that point. I just came into Erie and not familiar with the leadership yet. He gave me a job working in a parking lot as a cashier. And when Tullio came in that parking lot to park, he told me he was the mayor, and I didn't believe him. I charged him for parking, and he paid.
That's a good story.
And it worked, and I almost lost my job.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you kept your job, though.
That was because White felt very sympathetic towards me, I have to say. So, but yeah, it was just. But Tullio and I became good friends later. We once in a while had a good heart.
Well, that just shows, you're doing your job. So
That's just it. Yeah, if you do your job, he has no problem with you.
Well, he was certainly a people person. That's one thing that you have to give him credit for.
Doesn't he have a book? Aren't they doing a book about
They just unveiled a book within the last 2
There's
months.
coming out about him, I guess. If it's
Yeah,
not-
no, it's just come out.
I even have one of they made a souvenir ashtray with him on. I got that ashtray even though I don't smoke. So, but yeah, he bought a lot of good things and he did a lot of good things, and unfortunately, some of those things are no longer being sustained. And same thing with some of those businesses. I don't know what it would take to bring some businesses back into Erie, but we have to be able to do something to make Erie look like a good place for business to get established again. And maybe like people point out, you can't get the business to stay here if you keep adding taxes and taxes on them to keep them from making profits.
That makes sense.
Hey, you guys have a great day. You're doing a great job going in for Kaz.
Thanks.
You just have to talk a little higher pitch.
Sounds good. We'll talk into the microphones. Is that better?
Hey, there you go.
All right.
Hey, all right.
Thanks for calling.
That might be a good thing for today.
What's that?
Everybody's best story of Lou Tullio.
There you go. If anybody's out there, you have a story on Lou. Once again, if you're just tuning in, I'm John Steiner, subbing in for Kaz. He's off, and I have Carl Anderson and Ron Stemka with me. Show's going on as usual. If you have any comments or complaints, feel free to give us a call. And, we were just starting to talk about bringing businesses to downtown. The gentleman has a good idea, how do we do that, though, Carl? Ron? As we both know, when a business starts out, they don't know Erie. So what's the first thing they look at? What would you say?
Well, they look at the environment of the elected officials. Is this a business-friendly environment? Are they going to come here and bring their families and move to this area with an environment that is friendly to business or controversial about having business here? And I think one of the things that we need to continue to improve on in the city across the board, from the administration through all of our elected officials, is to make this a business-friendly environment. Businesses need to know that when they come to a community, they're going to have the support of that community, and that starts with the leadership.
Right. What do you think, Ron?
I think the city, we were back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. Erie's a fantastic town to move into. Shops were coming in. There's nothing in Erie anymore. It's an environment. Too much stuff going behind the scenes. Taxes are way too high. I feel sorry for the taxpayer in this town, the elderly. Now, they didn't get 3 years in a row. They didn't get nothing on their pension, Social Security, and their Social Security benefits are going up, and the city wants, 8%, the county? She wants 8%, and she's going to hire, 19 new people? What mountain is she on?
Yeah.
Huh?
One of the things that she ran on was not raising taxes, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, boy. Have you seen what she's done so far since she's been in office? They got the hotel, they got the ramp, that $27 million for the communication system, and she wants to take the transit authority over. And they'll put all her friends in there, and they'll run it, and we won't have nothing. This county and city council won't have nothing to say. Once they get on our authority, it's done with. Am I right or wrong?
Well, because the population in the county is increasing so much that the city still is, but was in a much stronger position to be the heart of Erie County, not only the heart of Erie County, but the heart of northwestern Pennsylvania. But as our population has aged and decreased, and the county population has increased, the center of the city, the power center, has decreased, and so the county has much more responsibility, and so therefore they can look at that as the justification for their expanded authority in the community.
And, city council. Go ahead, Ron.
I don't know if they're going to have a meeting tonight down at the courthouse on people who speak out against the transit authority being taken over by the county. I think it's tonight or next Monday.
Are they trying to get control of the board, or they're just trying to get
They're trying to take over the board.
the whole board?
That's what they're trying. And the boys on here on city council is flipping out.
The problem is that city folks don't get along with county folks. Nobody talks to one another. Nobody gets along. Everybody has their own fiefdom. Everybody wants to do their own thing. And when it comes down to it, we all suffer. Because can anybody get along with one another? And Girard wants to do their thing. Mill Creek's got their thing. Erie's got their thing. And the sad part is the Erie thing, where ours is the one that's declining the fastest, in my opinion. I mean, we have no...
But we have one of the best assets that any community could have.
And we do nothing with it.
And we have I would say, underperformed on an asset that is something that is tremendously sought after in other parts of the country, and that's our waterfront.
I mean, California, I said this last time I was on the show, I don't know why we don't have people out there. There are companies out there that need water, and they don't have any. I mean, it's dry.
And we have it.
And we have it.
They should move here.
There's a good idea. Imagine that. Have some of them move here. I mentioned this too. Florida governor, I was in Pennsylvania, this is about 3-4 years ago, trying to steal and recruit companies to come from Pennsylvania to Florida. You know, like I said, I didn't know if I wanted to choke the guy or say, hey, we want a governor like that goes out to other states and promotes our state.
No.
Go ahead, caller, on the air.
Yes, you're talking about the greatest asset being the water?
Yeah.
The Water Authority ruined that great asset under Rick Filippi. When they took a referendum out for a vote not having fluoride in the water, and he told the authority to go ahead and do it anyways.
Yeah, you're right, John. It took it's not fresh water anymore, correct?
That's correct.
Well, but we still have the natural asset that sits
He has
there.
the natural asset. Years ago, a brewery wanted to come in, and I heard Kaz talking about manufacturing and selling water like they do up in Buffalo and other places, but we can't do it because of the fluoride in the water.
Won't it cost like a couple $1 million to defluoridize it, for lack of a better word?
Well, I don't know how much it would cost, because you have enough natural fluoride coming into the water from from nature itself.
Right.
But fluoride is just a waste product, and that's how these places like Alcoa Aluminum and all these other places are getting rid of their chemicals, and these places are taking them and putting it into the fluoridation. Now, I know over in Canada they're getting rid of the fluoridation, and even in Europe they're getting rid of the fluoridation.
Wasn't that issue being talked about on the show when Mario was alive?
Yes, way back when, and in fact I think he was spearheading to get it on the ballot, and it got on the ballot, it got defeated, but then again Ricky went down and told the authority, we want the water, and the board voted to put the water in. I know council turned it down, and there were a few who voted for it. But, you know, you talk about an authority, and way back when we had the water department, they were making money. They were making good money, and our friend Lou Tullio was taking the money and balancing the budget with that water money.
Right. Can't do that anymore.
No, you can't. Well, you can disband the authority.
Well, if you look at the history of the water department or water authority, I mean, it's happened several times where we've had the department, and then they sold it, and then they got it back, they disbanded the authority.
It was a quick fix. They had all that money, and they gave the money to the city. It took the city off the hook for a while. I still think they get $1.5 million every year.
I was just going to say, they still give us a check every year.
Right, and of course they've got their contract for the next 25 years.
Right.
You signed that.
That would be long gone by then. But, you know, recently I read an article about the new terminal, the bus terminal, and our illustrious county executive said that's a great incentive for the city of Erie. It's going to really help it out. And I've been scratching my brain and trying to figure out how will this help out the city of Erie. They're tax exempt. To this mind, I can't figure it out. They're talking about putting a grocery store down there.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because that was my next comment, because the caller that called a little bit ago was talking about it, and from what I had heard, they are putting like a fresh produce market.
But what's the accessibility to the people downtown?
The new transit building.
Oh, yeah, they have a little thing going in there.
Yeah. What'd you say, John? I'm sorry.
The accessibility for the people to go downtown and shop way over there.
Right.
Are they going to have to take a cab? You might as well call Giant Eagle or one of these other places and order your food, and they'll deliver it to you. You have to order X amount of food before they'll deliver.
Right.
And there are still some around, and way back when I was a kid, I used to work for DeMichael's, and we used to hire cabs to deliver pizza shells and supplies to various locations when we had our drivers out. A lot of times people could call the cab and they'd pick up the groceries.
Right.
There's a business for someone if they had a lot of time.
Honestly, that would be a great business.
Yes, it would be. And, if I was going to take my money, I sure as heck wouldn't come down into the city of Erie and open up a business.
Well, see, what happens is, John, when let's say if a company that's not familiar with our area...
You have to make it business-friendly, though, John.
But a demographic study would show that we are the poorest city in the state. We have no disposable income. We are losing population, but we want them to come and open up a business in our downtown. Nobody sitting in a corporate office in their right mind would do that.
Once they would take the numbers and all that, they would say this isn't going to work.
Right.
Unless you're a great big chains like Jimmy John's is coming downtown Erie.
Right. Well,
you know where that Jimmy John's money's going to be going? Outside of Erie.
Right.
But it's a wonderful thing out there to use all the taxpayers' money and look for all this help. And how many people are you see using their own money? Now, Baldwin he's building that new car wash on East 38th Street.
Is that a Niagara, John?
That's a Niagara, and it's probably be ready to go in a few weeks.
That's good, because I need to get my car washed.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't want to plug them, but there's one on Upper P Street. You pay so much a month, and you can have as many car washers as you want.
Oh, the DS?
Yeah.
Nice.
And they do a wonderful job.
Yeah.
You can go up Veterans Day and get a free car wash.
What I tried to do,
Yeah.
when Carl was the head of the Mercier's Prep Boosters, they used to do the car washes for, donations. That was the best car wash I ever got.
The kids do a great job.
Yeah.
The windows and everything else. And I always, when I see those kids out there, I always go in and drop them a $10 bill. They're trying, just like the poor kids from Penn State out there trying to raise money for cancer.
Right.
And all I could visualize is one of these kids running out in front of a car.
Well, they do. When you're stopped there, they don't hesitate to run out to the car.
And, we've been fortunate so far. But,
Right.
But have a great day, and
right.
Let's keep wishing well wishing.
Hey, that's all we can do, buddy.
One of the things that I wanted to mention about one of the issues John was talking about is, maybe the rationale for the Transportation Authority changes is if we expand to more of a county-wide situation, because we have a lot of bus service now going out to Edinburgh, going to Harbor Creek, even out to Girard. There's potentially increased federal dollars through the transportation departments.
If the county's
not only in the state, but with the federal government. That could be one potential benefit that they're looking at.
Wasn't
because
that the state and the federal government put that transit place in?
they had a lot to do with the
do
funding.
it, yeah.
Major portion of the funding
Oh, look
came
at
to them.
back on the water department, that Summerheim. They put $40 million into that thing. And you got this as good as water before they started, the same thing. I think it was basically if you had medicine, like you get your old pills and stuff, you throw it down the toilet.
Yeah, pretty soon we'll have Mill Creek to help us pay all the bills. So, they're suckers. So, welcome to our debt.
I couldn't believe they
welcome to our debt. We appreciate it. And I know, Carl, your mind's full of thoughts on that situation.
Well, it's...
Why don't you share them? Share some of them
Yes,
with
well, I mean, it's
with
an interesting...
with the audience today.
I think it's an interesting process that they've gone through in Mill Creek, and I'm not going to argue whether it's the right or wrong thing to do, but the process that the elected officials out there in Mill Creek have used or diverted in their working to sell the water authority. I mean, out in Mill Creek, they came up with a number that essentially was the loan value of the authority or the water department as an asset, which was 80% of its value, and that number came out to about $25 million. So the water department itself is roughly worth a little over $30 million, and about $34 million, I guess, is the number that they valued it at. But then somehow I think they've negotiated it down to a $20 million sale. And it's amazing that they come up with these numbers, because Mill Creek themselves, as they had the asset, could have gone out and taken out a loan for $25 million and paid that back with the revenue, because this is exactly what the water authority is going to do as they take the Mill Creek department over. They could have used the revenue over the next 30 years to repay that $25 million and still had the asset and put $25 million of today's money in the bank. Yet they're going to end up with no asset and only $20 million, of which it's going to be paid, most of it's going to be paid on a yearly basis, which eventually is going to end up in the general fund budget, so they won't have to increase taxes. So essentially, they're giving the water department in Mill Creek away.
Well, we can thank Richard and John for that, Richard Figaski and John for their votes on that. So,
well, they certainly have been the ones that have, I don't know if we should say spearheaded or pushed, just shoved this down the throat of the people of Mill Creek.
Yeah. But they'll help us pay some of our debt.
They will?
Why won't they? They're going to have to. They're going to have to.
I mean, certainly it's going to come down to the people of Mill Creek are going to see an increase in their water rates.
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
How about the sewer rates? They're going to have to go up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Back in the spring, I told they were supposed to get something like $10 million a city that Mill Creek was supposed to pay, but now all of a sudden no one seems to know what's going on.
Yeah.
The increase, that $10 million, where is it?
Well, once it gets in the hands of the lawyers, then everybody goes quiet. You can't talk about it anymore.
Well, Mill Creek, they had such, what I want to say, irresponsible growth, and when it was Mill Creek was spurting up.
There's always building going on there.
Yeah, there's always building going out there, but they don't have any sewer systems or anything. They don't have.
They have no uniform.
They have no uniform.
No uniform.
They do not have the infrastructure.
And they're sticking at the taxpayer.
They have no infrastructure to withstand the development that they've had out there.
I mean, they have
Development, wow.
they have a disaster underground out there.
I mean,
some developments have 4-inch pipes, some have 6, some have 8-inch. There's just no uniformity, and a lot of the areas don't even meet the standards of today's code.
right. Well, that's irresponsible. That's because certain people make large donations and then they get what they want. Isn't that how it usually works?
Well, see, when you get on council out there, if you want to be take care of the streets, okay, you take care of the streets, or you take care of the water. I'll take another. I get $75,000 a year for doing that. You get $75,000. Hey, what a beautiful gig that is, isn't it? They get $75,000 for a job they're supposed to have, but they're not really doing the job. But they'll get that $75,000 check.
Yep.
You hear about that one out there?
No, I
You
don't.
heard about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you heard about it.
Yeah,
It's the biggest scam going.
That's their salaries. Yeah.
Oh, that's their I see.
Their salaries, isn't that much, but this is an add-on.
Right.
Well, what happens is
That's the way. Right. That's the way that the township works. Is they have to run a department. So essentially, they're an part-time elected official and full-time manager of a department is essentially the way it's set.
I mean, don't they get paid to be like roadmasters out there,
Yeah.
basically, and stuff? I mean, I think they could vote each other down to part-time or something like that.
At least some of them can, yeah.
Yeah. I tell you what, I've said this before a long time ago. You think Erie politics are bad? And you think that there's drama in this building? This building is running
tame.
smooth.
Tame.
This building upstairs is smooth, runs professionally. Well, you know what's going to... Mill Creek? It's not the same. Mill Creek is a political disaster. And, we like to call in this show. A lot of people call in and have their complaints, which are legit. A lot of them are legit. But Mill Creek, you're not even... They would never have a show like this to begin with. They would never have a show where you can call in. They don't even let their
Because
people...
then they'd have to actually answer to
They'd have to answer questions. They don't even let people come to their meetings and talk.
That's against the Constitution.
It's against the Constitution, as Carl well knows. We were involved.
You can't, you go up for 2 minutes, you get up to five,
Well, I think they give you 5 minutes now.
That's it.
In the county, yeah. I think they've
Oh, the county council? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's 5, yeah.
5 minutes now.
But Mill Creek, they don't give you anything. They'll tell you sit down and they don't want to hear it. I mean, we know. I mean, we've been involved out with Mill Creek supervisors and some of the politics that going on out there. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Makes me glad I live and reside in the city.
Most people can't even comprehend it.
If we actually broke down really what happens out there that we know, I mean, Ron, you would be sick to your stomach.
They be pulling the plug off the station real
Yeah, I mean, we do complain a lot of things, and there is a lot wrong with our city, and none of these people on this panel are perfect. The mayor's not perfect, and a lot of our elected they're in a tough position. The county people are in a tough position as well, but the Mill Creek people are a whole different animal, and their leaders and the way they conduct their government out there and their elected officials, I have never seen. I mean, they should do a movie about what goes on out there. It would be on during Halloween. It'd be like a scary
movie?
Yeah, it would. It'd be like Scary Movie 6. You know how they have this.
What's going on with that hotel down there? They can't build that hotel there, huh? The one down the Bayfront. Not the one down at the Bayfront, but the one over by the
Oh, yeah, I guess aren't they having trouble with
water table.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
And you can't dig. You've been trying, and like where I live up on Marion there, you go down 3 feet and the water comes shooting out of the ground.
Yeah.
I tried to tell the guy across the street. He puts an in-ground all the time water in between the liner and that.
See, that's too bad because that's a private businessman trying to bring some property back onto the tax rolls.
Great idea there.
I mean, great location, great, great proposal, great everything, and then he can't do it because basically of Mother Nature. I mean, that's the kind of thing that, it's
I'd like to see him put his hotel down here instead of us paying for that hotel they're putting there beside the convention center.
Well, see, you have the authority down there that doesn't really give a damn about what anybody says or thinks or does.
This girl is younger. I don't think she knows what she's doing. Ain't they paying him a salary, the one who had the Port Authority before?
Oh, Ray Schreckengo?
Yeah, didn't they paying him a salary
Is he
to
a
help
consultant
her?
down there?
I think so.
Oh, no, really?
I see him up to Lecom.
He can definitely afford the membership.
I thought we'd have more callers calling in about their best stories of Lou Tulio.
I know. See the Lou Tulio. They're not today. They're not watching.
I have a
You have a
Lou
good story?
I have a Lou Tulio story. I don't know whether it's good or bad, but
Well, let's hear it.
But it kind of it goes into what we were talking about earlier in politics today.
Let's hear it.
And the way it used to be. Lou, he ruled with an iron hand.
Okay.
But at the same time, he certainly had compassion and he understood politics. And the way politics worked is, you may have ideologically been against Republicans or Democrats, but when it comes down to it, you do the best working with everybody to do the best for the community. And Lou would would open his office to any Republicans in the area. In fact, he had stepped out and endorsed Dick Thornburg when he ran for governor, because he knew that it was the right thing to do for Erie, because Thornburg was such a popular candidate, and it was going to be beneficial. So he reached across party lines and made that endorsement, which certainly had tremendous benefits for Erie after that, getting
Right.
projects done that the mayor wanted to have completed with the Republican administration. Those things don't happen today.
No.
It's a dog-eat-dog world, and it's winner take all, and destroy the opposite side. So it's really turned into an unfortunate political environment where we talk about being more civil in our politics, but yet it's turned into something much more divisive.
That's unfortunate. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Good afternoon. I don't have any complaints today, but if you want a Lou Tullio story, I'll give you my favorite one.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Okay, this is back in the days when the circus came to town via the railroad, and they were coming in June to the Civic Center, and whoever was head of the Ringling Brothers Circus asked Lou if he would ride one of the elephants up State Street to the Civic Center, and Lou, he knew he was going to take a ribbon from both the Democrats and the Republicans, but from the time he rode that elephant all the way up to the Civic Center to the election, he took a ribbon from everyone. Times News took a big picture of him riding that elephant, and it was in the Times News the next morning, and it was the funniest thing. You had your top Democrat riding
Right.
Republican elephant.
I don't think you could have rode a jackass up the street there. All right?
Well, I always remembered that. That was one of my favorite Lou
That's
Tullio
great.
stories.
That's a great story.
Yeah, that's a good story. I could picture it.
A lot of people forgot that he did that.
Yeah. And they come up Holland Hill, too.
Okay, well,
All right.
thanks for listening, you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for calling. Good.
I like the one saying, he says, there's no one going to make more money than me.
That's true.
And there was nobody.
Right.
Like I said, going back to the Water Authority, here's that guy, 180,000.
Right. I mean, it's the authorities, like I said, have their pros, but damn, their cons are big as well. And it's like, but back then, some elected official, you got to have heart, and sometimes you got to make tough decisions. Nobody likes making tough decisions that might shed anything that resembles a negative light on you, because the main goal of your election is to get reelected, right?
But I think ultimately, whether people agree or disagree with somebody in the position that they take, if the person has conviction in their position, people have respect for that, ultimately. And that's what makes somebody a statesman, not just an elected politician.
Totally agree. Totally agree. But we're almost going to be running out of time soon. So if there's anybody else that wants to call in and get their last call in real quick, go ahead. I don't know, you guys were off last week, Ron?
Yes.
I know Kaz. Yeah, Kaz called, I couldn't, but he'll be back next week.
The ratings of the show go down when
Go
Kaz
down.
isn't here.
When it's just not the same when Kaz isn't here.
It's never the same when Kaz isn't here.
No. Kaz they give him, if somebody's got a problem with their garbage not picking up, Kaz takes care of it. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, to finish that story that fellow was talking about, Lou riding that elephant.
Yeah.
I understood that was kind of a thing he had, like a little bet with one of the Republican runners, and Lou said he'd do it, and they did rib him about him being on the back of the elephant, but he did say to the contender there, he said, but I want you to note who's the one that's on top. So
Absolutely.
he kind of indicated that even though he'd be riding their symbol of their party, his party was still above it. So that was his little rib on that part.
Yeah.
But no, Lou did a lot of good things, and like bringing the circus in, you don't see that coming in the city too often anymore, the big circuses and stuff.
Yeah, right.
You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll have another good session next week.
Hopefully Kaz will be back. We'll see what happens.
He brings up some good points too, and
Absolutely.
I'd like to know what's going on with up there by where he lives at Richard's parking there. I wondered if that accident with the garbage truck had to do with the parking situation. That's why the garbage truck had to back up.
That's
Yeah,
a good
very,
question.
very
That's
unfortunate situation.
Yeah, so hopefully
Tyler
hopefully
Cavato.
that's not what it was, but if it was, that kind of puts a little bit of a twist on the parking problem there too.
Yeah.
All right, you guys
Thanks.
have a great weekend.
Okay, thank you.
Me too.
Yeah, he brought up, Tyler Cavato, I believe was the kid's name. And it's unfortunate. I mean, a lot of things that we take for granted in this city. And, that kid was just, I think they just hired him, if I'm not mistaken. He hadn't been working there very long. And for him to, tragically pass away like that, it just goes to show that, these guys that work for our streets and around this heavy equipment and stuff, I mean, anything can happen at
There
any
is
given
danger,
time.
and we got to give them props for the job that they do.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate the way that I mean, I had met the kid before, but I can't say that I know him, but I have met him before. But, through social media, there's a lot of public sympathy, and I guess he was liked by a lot of people, and it's just unfortunate that you see things like that. But, like we said, these people that put the police and the fire and the workers, they put their lives on the line every day to make sure we have a better community. So I know a lot of people get on the police and stuff like that, but I wouldn't want to be in their positions, especially nowadays with the way things are in this community and any community, and they want them to wear cameras and different things like that.
I think that's a good idea, cameras.
I don't know, Ron. I don't know if I agree with that or not.
No, that communication, I brought that up to get cameras. It cost like $5 million.
Well, it's the money. The police are basically in a war out there. They're in a war. And that'll open us up to so many different lawsuits and different things like that. And people, I don't know, Ron, if that's a good idea. I understand why you would think that, and there are positives. If there's certain times where a police officer is vindicated or it helps convict somebody, that's a good thing. But the price and the cost of that, I don't know. Call back. But this will probably be our last caller, so we only got 30 seconds left, if that. But I would like to take this time to thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Carl Anderson and Ron Stemka, for coming in. Kaz, I don't know. I think he's coming back next week. So, Ron, I think it'll probably be you and Kaz hanging out next week.
Oh,
Kaz is always on the move.
He is. I think he's in Chi-Town. Kaz is hanging out in Chi-Town.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah, he is. I think he was in...
Having dinner with his daughter, I think.
Yeah, I know. I think he went down south, and then I think he...
Was with his son.
Mm-hmm. So he's doing the family rounds, which is good, so I'm glad that...
His daughter's a very successful dancer.
Is she?
And lives up in Wisconsin, I believe.
She lives up in that area.
Milwaukee, I think. And
She does live in Milwaukee.
They're having dinner in Chicago.
Yeah. Kaz is a good guy. I mean, Kaz cares about the people. You know what I mean? Kaz cares, and that's why he's done this show for so long. And he calls me and calls us to make sure we have somebody down there to listen in case if you guys have any problems that you want to get taken care of. So with that being said, I believe we're done. He gave me the signal that we had 1 minute about 2 minutes ago. So this is John.
Maybe we're even turned off.
We might be off.
we're still on, you see us?
No, we're still on. So once again, I'm John Steiner. This is Carl Anderson and Rom Stenka. And thanks for watching the Channel 9 Taxpayers Hotline. We're going to sign off. Talk to you later.
Here.
Perfect. Ron, good to meet you.
Boy, I'm Zern going.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Taxpayers Hotline Show on Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9.